The oral cavity has the hard palate, the soft palate, and the uvula, and is where mechanical digestion begins and is part of the upper GI system.
So the next part is the pharynx, which consists of the naso, oro, and laryngeal pharynx. Superior part provides lubrication for swallowing, and it is a part of the upper GI tract.
The esophagus has upper and lower portions. There's an upper esophageal sphincter, and there is also a cardiac sphincter. Mucus is secreted, and it also provides lubrication for swallowing.
So the stomach has a body pylorus and pyloric sphincter where chyme is formed, and it is a part of the upper GI tract.
The small intestine is part of the lower GI tract, and it has the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, and it is where chemical digestion of macromolecules are, and there's water, nutrient, and electrolyte absorption.
So the large intestine contains the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, and it absorbs water, electrolytes, and vitamins, and it is a part of the lower GI tract. This is the anal canal. It is the end of the large intestine where fecal matter is eliminated.
Those were all of the main accessories. Now we'll talk about the accessory organs. These are the teeth. It holds solid materials in place during mastication and is in the oral cavity.
Now this is the tongue. It's a part of the oral cavity, and it is involved in sense of taste.
These are the salivary glands, and they produce saliva.
So this is the liver. It contains the right lobe, the quadrate lobe, the caudate lobe, and the left lobe.
And it is part of the lower.
Part of the lower formation and release of bile into the small intestine for
emulsification of lipids. This is the gallbladder. It contains the cystic duct and the common bile duct. It stores, concentrates, and releases bile, and it is also part of the lower GI tract.
And this is the pancreas. It contains the head, the body, and the tail. Have endocrine cells that produce and secrete insulin and glucagon, and it is a part of the lower GI tract.
This is the cavity of the GI system, and it contains parietal peritoneum, which is the outer layer, and it lines internal walls of the abdominal pelvic cavity. There's the peritoneal peritoneum, which is the middle layer and is lubricated by serous fluid, and there's also the visceral peritoneum, which is the inner layer.
So gallstones form in the gallbladder. Concentration of bile in the gallbladder leads to these gallstones. The risk factors are obesity, advanced age, lack of physical activity. They're formed from condensation of cholesterol or calcium plus bile salts. If lodged in cystic duct, gallbladder becomes inflamed. Treatment is surgical removal. Carbohydrates begin in the oral cavity and end in the small intestine, and the enzyme is amylase. Proteins begin in the stomach, end in the small intestine, and the enzyme is pepsin. Lipids begin in the oral cavity and end in the small intestine. Enzyme is lipase. Vitamins have fat soluble, and the enzymes for the fat soluble are vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K, and they're already in the body. Water soluble enzymes are vitamin B and C, begin in the stomach, end in the ileum. Water begins in the oral cavity and ends through urine.